bulbous, rounded head, the unmanned 44L resembled a shining white lance with 4 smaller rockets strapped around its base. Unfortunately, this particular rocket wouldn't make it to orbit. Not today, not ever. In front of him, leaning against the hood of the camouflaged jeep, stood Jacques, his hair so blonde he looked almost albino, though his skin had achieved a golden tan. In one hand, he held the detonator, a box no bigger than a pack of cigarettes. Jacques had always been good with explosives. Mr. Phillips pulled out his pocket watch and studied the hour. Patience, he told himself. He straightened his tie, then reached into his pocket for a breath mint. Mr. Phillips heard a rustling sound from the left and glanced up to see a khaki-clad security guard trudging out of the jungle from one of the narrow access roads. The guard, whose bronzed skin and long black hair showed his Amerindian descent, held his rifle loosely. Mirrored sunglasses hid his eyes. Taken completely by surprise, the guard stopped as he saw the short, formally dressed man sitting with his companions in a jeep. Mr. Phillips' mouth drew tight at the guard's utterly dumbfounded expression. The guard brought up his rifle and swept it around. "Halte! Qu'est-ce que c'est que vous faites là? Je vous arrête!" he barked in French. The entire restricted area had supposedly been swept clean of bystanders. Mr. Phillips turned away from the intruder in annoyance. It had been hard enough slipping inside the secure area, first the bribe, then the unpleasant disposal of the official who had given them entrance. He disliked this additional inconvenience, but Mr. Phillips had allowed for such contingencies in his planning. Jacques tucked the detonator into his pocket. Pretending to surrender, he lifted his hands above his head and translated. "He wants to know what we're doing here, Monsieur Phillips. His accent is very bad. He is placing us under arrest." Mr. Phillips raised his eyebrows. "Oh, he is?" Silent as a cobra, fluid as a deer, a lithe, blonde woman slipped out of the underbrush behind the guard. From her waistband she slipped out a thin stiletto, so sharp and pointed it might have been an ice pick. She moved without hesitation, crossing the 10 meters without a sound. The guard stopped as if he suddenly heard something. Then the woman struck, jamming the stiletto into the base of his back. Without a word, she rammed it up his spinal column all the way to the hilt, as if trying to dig crab meat out of a shell. The guard twitched and jiggled like a pitched frog. His fingers slipped from the trigger guard, and he dropped his rifle. The muscular blonde woman jerked her wrist, and the stiletto slipped back out with a wet pop. The guard fell to the muddy ground, as if unplugged. "Thank you, Yvette," Mr. Phillips said. "Your timing, as usual, is impeccable." Nonchalantly, she wiped the blood from her blade on the wide, glossy leaf of a rubber plant and glided the stiletto back into her belt. Rusty paid no attention to the encounter, still staring toward the white rocket on the launch pad. "We should have just had Maury use one of his Stinger missiles like we did in China. We'd have been back out on the beach by now, having a swim. Definitely." He gave a short, high laugh. Mr. Phillips spoke to him like a patient father would. Unlike the other members of the team, Rusty was not a professional, and Mr. Phillips had to cut him some slack. "Different goals, Rusty. We proved in China that we can slip into a highly restricted area. Here, we must demonstrate that we can plant an explosive surreptitiously and detonate it at our convenience." "But why not blow it up now while the rocket's still on the pad? Why wait until it launches?" Rusty swatted at another bug. Mr. Phillips shook his head. "By waiting, we control the situation. Much greater impact, much more exhilarating." "Yeah, sure," Rusty said, obviously not understanding the nuances. But then, the redhead wasn't paid to think. "I just want to hear the kaboom." As blonde as Jacques, Yvette strode on her long legs over to meet him by the jeep. 2 sets of water-blue eyes, the color of ice melting in the heat, locked together. The pair spoke quietly in French. Yvette ran a hand up and down Jacques' arm. Then they kissed each other long and hard, oblivious to the rest of the team. Breathing quickly, their mouths opened as they deepened the kiss with lingering tongues. Jacques let his fingers drift in a tightening circle around the swell of her right breast. Mr. Phillips clapped his hands. "Time enough for that later." The two broke apart, glazed with perspiration, and breathing shallowly. "Let's keep an eye on the clocks, everybody," Mr. Phillips said. "Less than a minute to go." The Toucan VIP observation site at the Kourou launch facility was designed to accommodate dignitaries, but Colonel Iceberg Friese didn't see it as anything more than a set of bleachers